I was browsing Twitter, and I came across this crazy tweet. Apparently, a gas station owner in, I think it's Philadelphia. I got the tweet. I'll pull it up in a second. Hired private security guards to stand outside of his gas station. These aren't your normal dudes wearing like a collared short sleeve shirt with like a Securitas thing on it, waving at people. These are dudes in armor with rifles standing around. That's how bad it's gotten. I saw that, thought about the things that we're going through here. And man, in the past few months, I mean, really longer than that, it's felt like social cohesion is just gone. Law enforcement is just gone. And I made this argument yesterday when I was talking about how Elon Musk fears, or at least believes, the threat of assassination against him is very high. I certainly would agree with that. And I'm here to talk to you about the dramatic escalation of things and go a little bit more in detail. Before you, I have this article from yesterday. Following wave of threats and public doxing, Tim Pool's house burglarized, shots fired. New information has come to light, and I now believe that the incident was likely a targeted political incident, and I'll explain why. But you know what I want to point out? I don't often do videos directly about me as the story, and we did yesterday a segment, but more information and another incident occurred today, and I said, okay, you know what? Let's talk about it. This news needs to happen. I'm getting advice from everyone saying, just shut up, Tim, shut up. Don't tell anyone. Why? Serious question, why? I'm going to play a recording for you that we received today. So, you know, this recording comes in and it's a weird thread. I don't even know what you want to call it. It's not the craziest thing, but I'm getting mixed reactions from. Some people are saying it's really creepy and spooky. Some people are saying like, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. And I was like, well, I'll play it. I'll play it. And I'm being told by people like, don't share it. Don't let people know what's happening. And my question, honestly, is why? You know, it's funny. We have this story from the New York Times, how a faction of the Republican Party enables political violence. You want to know why that narrative persists? Because people on the right keep saying, don't tell anybody when these things are happening. Don't tell anybody. No, tell everybody. Just say it. It's not going to make it stop. Like, avoiding the subject has done nothing for us at all. And I think maybe we need an inverse reaction of telling everyone exactly what happens when you show up to my house. Now, I wasn't there. You heard me tell the story the other day. Today, we got new information. Another person showed up. Some people are saying it's a very serious security threat. Others are saying it's nothing, but it all is something. And it's overbearing, I guess. Then a family member received a threatening phone call, the gist of which is saying that I should get out of town, I can't call people groomers, and that I have to pay this person in Bitcoin. They didn't leave a Bitcoin address. It was a phone voicemail. So I don't necessarily take individual things like this seriously. You know, and again, in a few moments, I'll play the recording for you so you can hear it for yourself. You know, I hear this thing and I'm just like, yeah. Been there, done that. But admittedly, over the past month, things have dramatically escalated. And it got to the point where it's quite serious now. I mentioned this. The far left has been doxing me, trying to for some time. The address they're posting is not the address I live. In one instance, they posted the photo of a house, which is not my house. I should say this, not a house I live in. I'll put it that way. You understand what I mean, basically. They don't know where I actually live. Some people do. Some people have tried leaking the address. There have been swattings there. It happens. Today, I got word that someone showed up to one of my properties, a place I don't live, and I believe it's likely because of the doxing, and they could have died. Again, a day after a burglary and a bullet lodged in my kitchen. Some people have responded saying, you know, the person who showed up, they said they were a fan. And someone responded on Twitter saying, no, it's a perimeter check. Right, of course. You know, we have security. Everybody's armed. So I'm not that concerned. But it is an issue. I should say I'm not immediately worried because the reality is nobody really knows where I am. Like, they keep doxing all these addresses and they're all wrong. Like, as if we're dumb and we don't understand security. But the point of this segment is, I guess, you know, It's time to start highlighting it and saying this is happening, okay? And I would recommend, to whatever degree possible, other people who are getting these threats, start telling people they're happening. Because if we're going to sit back and let the New York Times just consistently say the narrative is only ever the left is in danger from the right, and I know to the right, I'm a liberal, and to the left, I'm a conservative. My point is, in the culture war, there is the libertarian and right faction, and there is the authoritarian left faction. I'm certainly not on that side. But as long as that's the narrative, that the right is the dangerous one. No, how about we do this? How about I explicitly show you a harassing phone call received by a family member because apparently I called some people groomers. Yeah, they don't like that, do they? This is the nature of modern politics, and my view is that law enforcement doesn't exist. Clearly, police are around. Okay, police exist, law enforcement doesn't. It's private security or nothing. And then I'll show you the video, talk about some of the crazier things that are happening. So let me do this. I'll start with very quick context on this, and then I'm going to play the recording for you so you can hear it and tell you what's been going on here. Support our work over at timcast.com. If you like to become a member, you go to timcast.com, click that Join Us button. You'll get uncensored members-only segments, as well as the other shows we're producing. And I must stress, security is very expensive, and we've recently had to pay for a lot of security, and man, maybe that's the goal. The goal is to eat away at our resources to the best of their ability through a distributed denial of business. And what I mean by that is death by 1,000 cuts. No individual incident can be stopped. The police, and this is not just about me. This is about everybody. When you have 10,000 people going into stores in a big city and just grabbing whatever they want, the cops can't do anything about it. It's a distributed crime. There's so much small crime, nothing can be done to stop it. And that's where we're headed. So if I get a phone call from someone and it's only somewhat harassing, the police are like, well, we can't really do anything to go after that person because it's such a minor thing. But what happens when you're getting dozens, or hundreds? Now it's causing you substantial damage, but none of it rises enough to the level where any law enforcement wants to spend money to deal with it. It's not just about what's happening to us, because I've heard this quite a bit in other areas. So here's the story. We talked about it a bit on Timcast IRL last night. Shots fired in my house, bullet lodged in my kitchen. I was not there. I'll come back and talk to you about the strange nature of this. But the first thing I want to do is I want to show you this. This is a tweet that I put up. A random person just showed up to one of my properties claiming to be a fan. Good way to get shot. Hell of a week, I'd say. The threat from earlier seems to be some weird fake thing about how I have to leave town, stop calling people groomers, and pay them. I'm going to play for you the recording. I will not do this for most of the recordings we receive for obvious reasons. Let me say this before I play it. The first thing I was told when we got swatted back in January was not to say anything because it will only encourage it. But the police walked on camera and then left, and we were like, whoa. We have armed guards. We have other means of security too, I won't mention. And it's basically solved the entirety of the problem. To a great degree, most of this has been, I suppose, it is contained to a certain degree. But it's still happening. And so people keep saying to me, don't tell anyone because it'll only make it worse, when in fact, it's only actually gotten worse, despite the fact we've stopped talking about it. No, perhaps that advice is bad advice. Perhaps the real advice is we should highlight it so people can understand. I do understand, however, playing an audio clip of some guy's voice may, in a sense, encourage people to make more calls like this. So I will stress, I'm not going to play every single one, but I do think it's worth giving people an example of what is happening and what it's like. Let me play for you this clip so you can hear, and then we'll discuss. Here we go. It'll probably take a second to begin. So,
hey Tim, this is Jimmy. I just wanted to say you gotta pay me what you owe me. Please, you've got to get out of Harper's Ferry. You don't. You can't be saying there's groomers. You can't be saying there's all this and that. You got to pay me, Timmy. Timmy, you got to pay me, Timmy. Timmy. Thanks, Timmy. You got to pay me. Bitcoin, Timmy.
To replay.
So, what do you think? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Now, me personally, I don't know. I'm probably a crazy person, right? I get all of this and that. I get some people accusing me of being like callous and emotionless. Others saying that I'm clearly breaking down emotionally and too stressed. And I'm sitting back here, armed to the teeth, just being like, another day ending in Y. Granted, I understand it's been worse, but let me tell you, my friends, my family members are not too happy about this. They're not the same as me. Probably the reason that I find myself in this position that I am in terms of business and in terms of the follower count and all that stuff, it's probably because something's a little off about me in terms of my willingness to confront things like this. You know, the average person does not want to enter the fray where they're getting phone calls like that, not the worst phone call I've ever received, or that they're being threatened in any way. Me, I'm kind of just like, I kind of feel like, having been in Egypt and watched people die, having seen catastrophic injuries, this phone call ain't doing anything for me. But it does bother my family. And I'll tell you why they do it. First of all, they don't want the crimes to rise to the occasion. They don't want to come out with any kind of threat or direct statement that results in a serious federal intervention or state level intervention. This phone call doesn't explicitly say much. Pay me. Pay you what? Who are you? Now, of course, it does sound like extortion. I'm threatening you. You can't talk about these things. You better leave town. Pay me in Bitcoin. I don't know who this person is. I don't know. I don't know anybody named Jimmy, to be completely honest. And there's no Bitcoin address, so it doesn't seem real. But it certainly does piss off and freak out family members. The goal of these things is to get agitated family members to then put stresses on me. Certainly, it's not stressful for me to hear something like that. It is stressful for a family member, and it's more stressful when a family member comes to me in distress. Granted, still, doesn't rise to the occasion for me. It is kind of annoying. Then, at the same time, what happened this morning? I got word that someone pulled up to one of our properties and started booping about, whatever, and was warned by one of our armed staff members, because we have armed guards everywhere, let me just warn you, that you can't be on this property and to leave. Now, this individual claimed to be a fan who just wanted to support. Lies. As this one user, Equilofer? I don't know, says it was a test of the outer perimeter and an intel collector, head on a swivel. Perhaps it's paranoia. Doesn't matter either way. We treat all of it the exact same way. If you show up to the property and you cross the barrier, that's felony burglary, and we have armed guards all over the place. And that's not the half of our security measures. So when I said the other day, I'll tell you the story, that someone broke in, I'll just I've been very loose on I've been very loose in the details, but the details were published on our website, timcast.com, so I'll read them for you. The burglary that happened it's my house, but for obvious reasons, I don't stay in any easily identified location for these people. I'm sure there are higher level people who generally know where I am, but it's the average lunatic that we're really worried about. I'm not scared of Antifa. I'm not scared of far-left psychopaths or whoever made this phone call. What I am scared about is the crazy guy who thinks that I stole all of the spoons and I've placed them on the moon, and the only way to get them back is to, build a rocket ship, but they're going to have to come and question me on which crater I put the spoons in, right? Something clearly nonsensical and insane. Here's the story. An employee of Timcast who wishes to remain anonymous was present when two men broke the kitchen window at the house and climbed inside. I woke up to the sound of glass breaking, the employee said. I got a gun ready and called 911. The employee went to the kitchen to confront the burglars and let it be known that he was armed. He said that as he was walking through the hallway, he could hear the intruders talking, but they were not coming toward him. I was going out into the kitchen to confront them. I announced myself before I turned the corner. When they did not retreat or explain themselves, he shot at them. Neither of the men got hit, but a bullet was left lodged in the kitchen island. The duo jumped out the window and sped off in their vehicle. In their panic, one of the perpetrators dropped a wallet with identification inside. The employee believes that it may have been stolen and did not appear to belong to either of the people who were in the building. Now, that was very, very strange to us. How does that happen? It was a wallet with nothing but a simple ID and a name on it. The police took the name. The reason the employee believes that it was not real is because because apparently the wallet was out with the ID next to it. Okay, here's a possibility. The guys broke in and the guy was carrying his wallet, something very stupid to do if you were targeting a building. No, we don't know exactly what it is. There's a bunch of theories. Maybe they're trying to frame somebody. I don't know. I don't know what their goal was here with a wallet with a single ID. But the employee said he didn't think the ID matched who the people were based on what they looked like or whatever. He didn't get a good view of them, but clearly from the ID, he doesn't think it was them. And it's also very strange that someone would break in and then just leave behind an empty wallet with an ID. I mean, the whole thing is strange. Like, even if you're trying to do a frame-up job, you'd have stuff in the wallet like business cards and maybe some cash. Not just an empty wallet. It makes no sense. No idea. It's not clear if anything was stolen, but the employee does not believe they had time to get anything. The popular podcaster has also been the target of multiple swattings this year at his Maryland studio. That's right. Just last night at 9 p.m. during the show, we were swatted again. Intercepted by our security team. Now, let me just stress for you guys, for people who don't understand. When we get swatted, people seem to think that like a SWAT team kicks the door in and runs in with their guns waving around. Now, that was the first time, and not really. No. The first time we got swatted, we had police show up, guns drawn. We had an employee who was outside, put your hands up. They came out, quickly assessed the situation and said, okay, this appears to be fake. Decided to sweep the building anyway, even though we said do not enter. They were like, well, we have no choice, exigent circumstances, which is not true. They didn't have any evidence to suggest that was the case. After the next few times, similar things would happen, but they were less freaked out. When my private residence in West Virginia was first swatted, they showed up with rifles drawn and they went to the windows and they looked inside, realizing that there was literally nobody inside. They were like, okay, this has got to be a false alarm. We got, I posted on Instagram an image of one of the officers, slightly low quality, grainy. We don't show his face, but you can just see the officer outside with the rifle. Since then, since the past few times, what happens now is armed police factions show up very, very quickly. They know the drill. They do standard procedure, are greeted by, they contact our private security company. Security greets them. They do a basic check and then give them a thumbs up and peace out. I can't believe the police are still entertaining all of this in the sense that they've not stopped it from happening. They're just like, here we go again. We have an ongoing joke, like maybe we should have donuts ready and just, maybe some donuts, coffee, maybe pizza or wings. So when they do invariably have to come back out again, at the very least, we can treat them to a delicious meal saying thank you for continually responding. There's a couple ideas pertaining to why this is happening. One, chaos and confusion. The first goal is when people show up that claim to be fans, as the one individual mentioned, it's a perimeter check. The idea is they can gain as much intel as possible and then just say, I'm a harmless little old fan. Okay. What can you do? It's trespass. Well, we're going to start having these people criminally charged with burglary. It's a felony. We've set up, I'll put it simply, I don't want to say too much for the sake of security, but we have lined up, we have talked with the law, cops, and private security, and we are now prepped. If anyone enters the property, we have set the legal standard. It is felony burglary at this point. Simply, and I'm not talking about the building. I'm talking about the physical grass that we have. You step foot on the grass. I'm not going to get into specifics. Felony burglary. People think burglary means you stole something. No, it means it means you entered property knowingly without permission. That's not even trespass. It's burglary. Read the law, okay? We've been dealing with it quite a bit. The goal is, with the chaos and confusion, make it very hard for us to try and figure out what's going on and to waste our resources so that we can't expand the company. We want to, what do I want to do? I want to invest money in hiring more people, doing more shows, and making shows better. We're about a year into the 3 shows that we've started, Cast Castle, Inverted World, and Pop Culture Crisis. It takes time. We're not just dumping money on a Hollywood producer. In fact, we don't quite have the resource to do something like that. We want to, so we're just going to start building things. We're going to get better at things, and we're going to grow as we can. But it's starting to pick up. Chicken City, hey man, that's a moneymaker right there. Chicken City, very simple show, just a live stream of chickens. But it's a resource drain. It's chaos and confusion. And they're trying to make it harder for us to do our job. Another thing they're trying to do is make sure that certain people won't come on the show out of fear. I will say, to a minor degree, it's worked. There's a couple of people who have been like, I'm very concerned about security, and so we won't come. Now, that's mostly been rectified. We basically just say, like, we have armed guards and other security measures, and when we inform them of our security measures, they go, oh, wow. In fact, I tell them, you're probably safer here than your own home, because we are taking this seriously. But that also means that there's a drag on our resources. A drag on our resources as the result of the ongoing harassment. That's the goal. And so it's interesting, right? What is it? Are they trying to make me stop doing my thing? Because I don't see how that does. They got a problem. And what I mean by it's the far left extremists and the establishment actors, probably some element of intelligence agencies or something like that. Hey, why is it the FBI isn't solving this interstate problem? Well, I kind of rag on them quite a bit. I know they're good agents. We've obviously had some of this information passed along to local agents. Local agents aren't bad. I've actually been reached out to by some agents, and they're like, bro, I'm telling you, like, we would love to figure this one out. And what I'm told is underfunded, understaffed, and the D.C. area, this jurisdiction, it's corrupt as corrupt can get. Not everybody that I get. So here we are, trying to deal with these issues with, far leftists desperately wanting me to stop. But as I stated, they have a problem. And that problem is, man, I ain't got no kids. Oof, that's a rough one. I hear there's some conservatives all the time. Why won't you have children, Tim? Well, I'm not going to talk about it. It's none of your business. And I'll leave it at that. Don't assume positively or negatively in either direction. I'm just not talking about it. And I'm talking about it because family is the point of coercion used to manipulate politics and the sphere. How is it that Antifa is able to get away with what they do without fear of law enforcement? Well, they don't have kids. They have no families. They have nothing to lose. If they get locked up, what do they care? Now, what about your average middle-class American or family man or woman? I can't do it, Tim. I'm sorry. I have kids. I hear it all the time. People say, I wish I could fight the good fight. I wish I could move. I wish I could stand up, but I have kids. You see, that's the point. That is the attack vector. Uh-oh. I don't. 36-year-old former, disaffected liberal urban type also doesn't have kids. What do? That's why I showed you that message. They go for the family. They're trying to bring stresses upon me to freak me out. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe that's the problem you guys are having with trying to shut me down. These far left extremists, the establishment, maybe some government actors. How do you stop a guy when all he does is have a work computer, he reads news on the internet, talks to people, and doesn't have kids? Well, you can drain his resources. You can try and freak his family out. That doesn't appear to be working. It's obvious, guys. How you just gotta, maybe I win the lottery and then why would I want it? Maybe I win the lottery and then buy a lot of, hey, how about that? Here's what I'll do. I'm going to write down the lotto numbers that I'm going to pick next week. I'm going to put them outside by the trash. And then on Saturday, I'll buy those Powerball. I'm kidding. It's a joke I made on IRL. I was like, just need enough money. And then, no, I don't know, man. I just kind of sit here and do my thing. But of course, it's escalated to a rather absurd degree, and we're here. So I have a few options. Ignore it and just keep talking about things that are going on. Call it out. Some people are saying calling it out makes it worse. I'm like, yeah, well, not doing anything certainly hasn't done anything, so it's only gotten worse. So whatever, man. And maybe this is the news. AOC makes up a fake story. Where is she? Where is she? The story was fake. Not only was she not in the Capitol, but her story took place an hour before the building even got breached. Maybe we need to start telling people this stuff is happening. Maybe we need to scream, the far left, they're crazy. Because they are. They're extremists. You heard the message. The guy says I can't be calling people groomers. Oh no, the pedos are mad at me. Bro, I don't care about what you think. You can threaten me all you want. You can harass everybody. I'm still going to say the groomers are evil people. Then they come out, they do this thing. They're like, Tim says all LGBT people are groomers. Nice try, groomer, bro. No, I'm not. We have tons of people come on the show and say just the opposite. Groomer, the word, does not in any way refer to LGBTQ people, because groomers can come from any place and any background. And I got no issue with the LGBTQ people. Have them on the show. We hang out with them. Blair White mentioned that we've had her on the show several times. She never even talked about trans issues. And I was like, well, you're a political commentator. We talk news. You're here because you're a prominent individual with opinions and we're interested in those. You are not just because you're trans or something. That's the narrative they try. They try to capitalize on it because they're trying to protect pedos. Luke had an interesting idea. I think it was Luke that when the Epstein stuff started getting uncovered, they started panicking and then thinking they better dump tons of resources into normalizing this behavior. Well, look, I don't care. I mean, look at Cenk Uygur freaking out, losing his mind. It's weird, isn't it? So I showed you this point already. I don't need to get into the whole article from November, how a faction of the Republican Party enables political violence. Fox News called it out and said, New York Times argues the Republican Party enables political violence, downplays left-wing attacks. The FBI revealed 70% of abortion-related attacks were against pregnancy centers. That's right. And what happens? The FBI arrests pro-life protesters, and they ignore the far left when the far left is committing crimes by protesting in front of justices' homes. You can't protest in front of a judge's house. And then the left says, you don't believe in the First Amendment. Don't care about your opinion, dude. I care about principles. You're not going to convince me that my principles are in defiance of myself. That's stupid. I tweeted a poll. Should I sue the person defaming me on YouTube? And all these leftists are like, Tim doesn't believe in free speech. He's going to sue people who are defaming him and causing damage to his business and personal life. Yeah, that's not free speech. Free speech is the ability to express your political opinions free from fear of being beaten. Now, the U.S. historically has cherished to a certain degree free speech, but not always. Not always. There was a period where you couldn't yell fire in a crowded theater. And then they said, hey, actually, I think it was Brandenburg v. Ohio. Actually, you can. That's a bad ruling. But this country was very puritanical. You couldn't say naughty words. You'd get arrested for obscenity. George Carlin got arrested. It was like the 70s. So free speech has been tolerated to varying degrees. I don't think defamation, slander, and libel are free speech. And you can't tweet at me, Tim doesn't believe in free speech because he opposes these things. I'll be like, I don't care about your opinion, dude. You're not relevant to my life. My views and my content is not swayed by your nonsense. I talk about what I feel like talking about. Today, I kind of said, look, this is a lot to happen in the past week. Let's talk about it. I've had people say, don't reveal those recordings. Whatever, dude. It is life. Life is real, okay? I've been told over and over again. It's like, well, maybe there's some things you shouldn't reveal because, you got to let law enforcement do their job. And it's like, okay, yeah, to certain degrees, I agree with that. To a greater degree, I don't see law enforcement doing anything in the past year. Hey, where's the phone call? Where's the email? There's one department that I've been working with, and that I appreciate their support. I'm not going to name them. I don't want to draw any attention to specific individuals who I think are doing a good job and who have been genuinely trying to help. The issue is information is traveling faster than the government can respond. So they can't actually do anything. With the spread of information, what we have going on right now is a national digital riot. When a riot happens, the only thing the police can do is declare an unlawful assembly and then try and round people up and fire tear gas and things like that. How do you deal with a digital riot? I mean, what do? Do you just ban networks of people or suspend a network of accounts to try and stop it? No one's committing any violent crimes. If they're advocating violence, you do. But what happens is someone puts out a call. They said on Twitter that, like, I shouldn't be allowed to live or whatever. And it's like, I got to be honest, man, like, all the security stuff that I have, if it's the price to pay, like, it is what it is. This is life. This is what life is. Y'all aren't actually having that big of an impact on me. I do, however, think that what needs to happen is people need to be made aware of what comes with the territory and what is currently happening. So let me elaborate. They're trying to stress my family out. They're hoping that the extremists, you see what I'm doing there? The extremists are hoping that my family will pressure me into quitting, saying I can't deal with this. Oh, I can't do it anymore, or something like that. No, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna quit. But the reason why I want to talk about this and highlight it is because of the bigger picture. This is what is currently happening in America. Jason Martinez tweets, a North Philly owner says he's had enough violent crime at his gas station, so he's hired these guys to protect his customers and store. Does this make you feel safer or uncomfortable? I mean, makes me feel safer, to be completely honest. This dude looks awesome. I don't know what kind of weapon that is. Can you guys? That's an AR-style pistol. 9mm it looks like. You guys know better than I do. He's got his sidearm. I dig it. Is it just one guy? No, I think there's more than one guy here. Maybe, yeah, okay, more than one guy here. That guy, what does he got? Looks like he's got like an AR or something. I can't tell. But there's the one guy. Looks like a... Okay, so I don't know what that one is. Oh, okay, that looked like a 9mm. I'm not sure. Look, I'm going to say you guys in the comments watching this, you probably know way better than me. I'd imagine that might be a shotgun. That might be a bullpup shotgun. What do you guys think? Good trigger discipline there, my friend. He's got a finger off the trigger. We got a bunch of weapons. We're armed to the teeth. And Doriano Paisano Carta responded with, gives a whole new meaning to unleaded. Sadly, this is what it's come to with Democrat cities. Bravo. That was a good one. This is what's happening. This is real life. Crime is insane. Take a look at this story from the Post-Millennial. Barber shot dead while cutting 8-year-old boy's hair in Washington state. Why? Here we go. Here's another one. Fire breaks out in West Virginia food processing plant. Shout out to the POSO ad that popped up on the Post-Millennial website. Just a fire? Maybe. Fire in a boiler room, these things happen. But we're hearing more and more stories where people are starting to feel like it's sabotage, like in North Carolina. Here's what I think. I think we're in a civil war. It's just not what you expected it to be. It's not two factions marching, against each other. It's not people in the South being like, oh, those people in the North. It is the complete collapse of social cohesion, the inability of the federal government to do anything. It is the raw exercise of power in every direction, and it is escalating. There are people who believe it's not happening. There are people who just don't realize it is happening, but it's happening. Ask yourself why it is that after a year, it's been a year, we've been getting swatted on average more than once per month, with the bomb squad being deployed now 3 times. The studio actually being evacuated due to a credible threat. Dogs being deployed. People showing up. Burglary charges. Now a 9mm bullet lodged in my kitchen. Where's any indictment? Where's any arrest? Well, here's the reality. They are either incapable or unwilling to do anything about it. I will stress there are some law enforcement officers that I'm working with that I genuinely believe are trying to do what they can, but then the ability is unable because of jurisdiction. That's the reality. The federal government is unable and unwilling, in my opinion, to do anything about this. Let's go back to the summer of love. Riots in front of the White House. President forced in the bunker. No response. Let's go back to Portland and Seattle. Mass vandalism, far-left extremists taking over portions of their cities. And people said, no, there's not going to be a civil war. I'm like, dude, far-left extremists in Seattle took over a portion of their city, unloaded hundreds of rounds into an SUV. I believe they killed a teenager, almost another one. Maybe it killed them both. I think three people were shot and killed in the Chaz. And they're just letting that happen? Incredible. Armed factions are running amok, and there is either an unwillingness or an inability to do anything about it. You take a look at what's happening here. You take a look at what's happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You take a look at what's happening with what we know with like the Twitter files release, with the FBI going to Facebook and Twitter and instructing them of coming hacked materials related to Hunter Biden. And then what do? Oh, it just so happens they then delete the content, bar the stories. It is the raw exercise of power. And this is where it comes to. Gas station can't rely on police anymore. So they hire private police, private security with rifles. A bullpup, I think that might be a shotgun. And if you want to buy gas, that's the reality. That's what it's like in cities. I've been to a few big cities. I've had these leftists being like, Tim should never be allowed to go to. I was in New York not even that long ago, walking around, like no issues, man. But Elon's not wrong. It's really easy to kill somebody. Maybe you live in D.C. and you're like walking down the street and then someone kills you and they claim it was a botched robbery despite the fact that nothing was taken from you. Maybe you eat some bad food and you have an allergic reaction. Maybe you're flying in a private flight and, oh no, the plane crashed. Maybe it's you have a heart attack and die suddenly. We talked about it last night. In the church hearings, they revealed that the U.S. has a heart attack gun. It shoots a dart of frozen shellfish toxin, which then enters the bloodstream, killing you, and leaves no trace. They have ways. As the story goes, they moved away from direct assassination because it creates martyrs and immortalizes the individual at their peak. So what they've gone for now, and again, this is as the story goes, is character assassination like Julian Assange. Keep him locked up, don't let him work, and accuse him of horrible things. It's not working. Julian Assange he's a good guy. Not perfect. Nobody is. He's a journalist. That's really what he is. They try to assassinate his character. Doesn't work. We have the internet. We can communicate. So you're failing. Cohesion is breaking down. And the only thing the extremists and the establishment have accomplished is the destruction of this country. But I got to be honest, maybe that was the point. You want to usher in some kind of global authority? You got to break down freedom-loving people. I don't know if that's the plan or what the plan is, but it's what's happening. So let me stress this point again, right? We're getting by just fine. Where we work is probably safer than your house. I mean, do you have armed guards guarding you? The worst thing that's happened, what? Annoying, harassing phone calls, threats that never pan out, and creepos trying to show up to the property. I suppose the worst thing is people breaking into the property. I believe that was targeted because I can't give away too much information for security reasons and potential law enforcement reasons. But considering the fact that law enforcement's unable to do anything about it, there was a previous incident that took place, which leads us to believe that it was targeted. So probably not some random attack in West Virginia, probably a targeted incident where it was politically motivated. I think that the individuals did not believe when I said we have armed guards everywhere and more. They're lucky that the only thing they encountered was the individual they did. But I'm willing to bet that these people probably assumed that it was bluster, and so they thought they could show up, and who knows what they were trying to do. A wallet with an ID in it? It's weird, right? Frame job or something? I don't know. And then, surprise, surprise, I'm telling the truth when I say that this stuff's happening. I tell the truth when I say that there are armed individuals ready and willing to keep us safe. So my only warning is this: stay away from the properties. It is not smart to come here. I said it before and I'll say it again. The guys that we have here, former intelligence, former military, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they're not going to ask questions. We have active death threats. You show up on the property, you are risking your life unless you have clear authority. See, when we invite people to come, our security guards know. And they know who to look for and they know what to look for. But random people showing up? But I'll leave it at that, my friends. Welcome to the fray. It's going to be a whole lot of fun moving forward, I guess. Will only get worse as we enter 2023 with the primary season and then the presidential election. Will it be Trump? Will it be DeSantis? Will it be Biden? Who knows? I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast IRL. Thanks for hanging out in this much more, self-focused and personal story. And we'll see you all over at Timcast IRL.